On Story will begin in episode 23, where we will see the Autobots at base discussing about the next plans. But a few Autobots are not there to discuss the plans, which is Optimus, Perceptor, and Ratchet, who are all working on the incest formula for the incest energon. As all of you are wondering how Optimus knows about that, well, simple. He just stops time, learns about it, and yeah, pretty much. I know this is a bit OP, but to be fair, he he does need it. And yeah, pretty much the Autobots are just focusing on the incest formula so they can have a bigger edge over the Decepticons. Now we will cut towards the Decepticon base, where Megatron is pretty much wondering what to do. But then he does get images about that prophecy, like the one in the original timeline, and he decides to still steal like a device from the humans to build the space bridge. So all that goes the same, and pretty much most of the episode goes the same all the way actually. Well, even when Raph gets injured and all that. So pretty much the entirety of episode 23 is pretty much, well, kind of the same. Besides the fact that Oxmus goes inside, the Nemesis along with Ironhind and Bulkhead, all three of them go to get inside the Nemesis, and they grab the device and bring it back. But Oxmus stays obviously because he wants to end the war and everything. And he would fight pretty much a bunch of Yokons to get towards Megatron, and he kills a bunch of Yokons, and he's going straight towards the main bay where all the main Decepticons are, because Prime basically just wants to smoke, you can say, and Optimus would arrive and he would fight everyone. And with his time abilities, and well, not just time, mostly his space abilities, he can easily teleport, he can reverse, rewind, stop, and kind of like predict. Like, it's just not even fair. And Optimus will beat all of them easily. And he will look towards Soundwave and tell him to ground breach him towards Megatron. Now, Soundwave doesn't want to, but then Megatron tells him he should, because he got something that would surprise Optimus. And hearing this, Soundwave nods. Oh, you know what? Soundwave just nods his head and he proceeds to ground bridge Optimus towards Megatron's location. And Optimus would arrive, and Optimus sees something shocking. He sees Megatron, or should I say, Megatron 2.0. But yeah. Now, all of you are wondering how did Megatron get his 2.0 design, the one he had in Transformers Prime Predacons Rising, the movie, whatever it's called. Yeah, I forgot the name of the movie, I can't lie. But yeah, now we would cut back before, like we will cut, we'll skip to episode 24, but this is basically a flashback to explain what the hell happened. And pretty much Megatron will arrive at the same location. And Megatron is just wondering why this specific location. But then he hears a voice telling him to come towards the volcano. And Megatron does, and he would see Unicron. And Unicron looks at Megatron and is like, so you're the Cybertronian that holds my essence, my blood. And seeing Unicron shocks Megatron, who's like, how's this possible? You were you were destroyed, you were banished. And hearing this makes Unicron like, well, that's incorrect, boy. I was never I was never banished or destroyed fully. I was trapped on this planet. As Unicron would explain to us, Megatron, that he was defeated by the Primes. Obviously, his body arrived here on Earth, and his body just like collide with a bunch of meteors and rocks, and throughout millions and millions of years, whatever, Earth was formed. And yeah, he pretty much just explains he is Earth itself, and Megatron is shocked by this. But Unicron says, but that's not the point. You see, I need your help to defeat a certain prime that is here on this planet. Hearing this makes Megatron like, Wait, you know of Optimus? Hearing this makes Unicron say no, but I do sense his essence, or the essence of the Matrix. And hearing this makes Megatron like, well, I don't know how I'm gonna help you because he has the Vortex Blade. Hearing this makes Unicron like, oh, scrap. You won't have a chance. You won't stand a chance. With the power to control time and space, you pretty much would just be demolished. And Megatron's like, indeed. So what the hell are you? What the hell am I supposed to do? And Unicron's like, you know what? The only possible way you'll survive, maybe be able to defeat the Prime is if I upgrade you. And hearing this, Megatron actually begs Unicron to do it, and Unicron, like, he's contemplating, and he's like, screw it, why not? As he decides to do it, and he upgrades Megatron, and we have the 2.0 design, the Megatron 2.0, the one where he looked like Unicron mixed or fused with his body. And pretty much that's pretty much the recap. And we just cut to Optimus and Megatron fighting each other. And Optimus will ask Megatron what happened, and Megatron would explain, and Prime is absolutely furious. As to be fair, if I was Optimus, I'll be furious as well. He literally asks the most evilest being in the universe to help him. Like, that's just, he basically asks Satan, "Can you help me?" Like, Megatron's already evil, but now he asks the most evilest person in the entire Transformers universe. Because to be fair, Unicron has no reason to destroy or kill anyone because he does it for mostly fun and pleasure. I think. But yeah, so Optimus is furious and he's just like, the whole time Optimus is holding back. So I would say it's an equal fight. Prime is holding back. How much power? Like, he's not even close to his full power or even 50. I think, yeah, actually, he's at least using 25%. He's been mostly only using 1%. And with his 25% of usage of the power of the Vortex Blade, it does give Megatron the chance to actually have a good fight with Optimus. As Prime is mostly fighting with swordsmanship and he's just teleporting and stopping time, so Megatron doesn't land any fatal blows on him. And Megatron is just pretty much just focusing on, like, you can say shooting, or just he's just trying to get the sword off Optimus' hands, or he's just trying to remove the sword from Optimus' hands so Optimus doesn't really have a asset. And Megatron is doing quite well, but it's not really enough because Prime is just casually overwhelming him. And Megatron and Optimus have a fierce fight. And since Optimus can technique like Optimus does have a healing ability with the sword, like he can just reverse all of his injuries and his energon back to his normal state, so he doesn't really get tired at all. So this is just an endless fight. And Megatron is kind of getting tired from this, and he realizes he can't really defeat Optimus yet, but at least he can stand a chance. And Megatron will proceed to leave, and Optimus will look at this and he's thinking, well, this is interesting. And we would see Optimus going back to Autobot base, and we would cut to episode 25 for Optimus would explain everything to his Autobots. And here on this, his Autobots wonder what to do. But Prime decides to go talk to Unicron, like how he always does it. He always talks first before he just goes straight to action. So he decides to like convince, or you can say negotiate with Unicron, telling him not to destroy Earth. But of course that doesn't go well, and yeah, Optimus has to fight a bunch of Unicron avatars, pretty much just rock, just Unicrons made of rocks, and he quickly just kills and destroys all of them. But of course, you'll have that big Unicron, but since Optimus has an overpowered blade that can control time and space, and he can teleport and can do a bunch of other things, he doesn't really get any help from Megatron. He just completely demolishes that avatar, and it's not even close. But yeah, And Oximus will go back to the Autobot base, and everyone asks if he's okay, and Oximus says he is. And Prime does tell everyone that he has to go straight towards a score because I would say he finds out because of Ratchet, who manages to actually detect where Unicron is, and they do find out it's at score. And Optimus decides to go there to seal Unicron, and Optimus is asking Ratchet and Perceptor to come with him as he decides it's time for him to use the protoforms. As Optimus goes with them, and he pretty much just they pretty much use the Forge of Solus Prime and Optimus's DNA on all five protoforms, and a couple of other things. As he also puts some power of the Matrix, and they pretty much just do a bunch of things towards the protoforms and do a couple of you can say updates and upgrades. And Prime uses the Forge, and they do a bunch of things with the Pro forms, and they are finally finished with all five of them. And Prime will look at them, and he asks Ratchet and Perceptor when they'll come online, and they would tell Optimus soon. Prime nods his head, and he proceeds to leave the Kia Vector Sigma, and he says that he has to go straight. As Optimus walks, he tells his Autobots about him going straight towards pretty much the where Unicron is. He tells them that they're gonna go. He's gonna go there, but the other Autobots ask if they can come, and Optimus does tell them they should stay. But Ironhide pretty much just tells him he's not gonna stay, as he's been with Optimus for years. He's not gonna let him go down there all alone. But Optimus says that he's got this because he has the sort of I mean, no, sorry, he has the Vortex Blade, and Arnold says that he does not care. He's his homie. He's his best friend. He's not letting him go down there alone. And Prime realizes Arnold is too stubborn to negotiate or tell him to back off because he's a ride or die. He's loyal towards the end. And Optimus allows him to come along with all the wreckers, well besides Perceptor, and his original Autobots such as Bulkhead, RC, and Bumblebee, and Wheeljack obviously comes, and we obviously have Impactor, um, Robuster, Topspin, and Flame War, and all of them go together towards the location of Unicron, and they would arrive there. Oh, what about the Knights? I would say Optimus tells the Knights to stay behind, and since the Knights you can say obedience, they do listen. So yeah, it's just them actually, and it's kind of interesting. But anywho, the Autobots would arrive, and Optimus looks around, and he decides to try to detect where Unicron is. Oh, and by the way, this is episode 26. And they would pretty much just walk towards where the location of Unicron is. But of course, Bulkhead and the other Autobots kind of get dizzy from this. But then we would pretty much have antibodies obviously come after them. But Optimus will use the power of the Vortex Blade to destroy many of them, and helps his Autobots out. He will tell his Autobots to stay behind and hold them off as Optimus goes straight towards the core of Unicron, but three bots are there waiting for him. Six Shots, Double Dealer, and Megatron. And Prime sees all of them and he's like, scrap. Optimus cracks his neck and he's like, Megatron, it's kind of funny seeing you as someone else's puppet. And Megatron is like, well, Optimus, after getting beaten by you multiple times, it's it's understandable for me because yes, I would never bow down to anyone, but I did. I have no choice as I needed the power of a god to help to basically help me of to kill you basically. And Optimus rolls his eyes and they start fighting. And Optimus overwhelms all of them. With his Vortex Blade and everything, he actually just has the overwhelming advantage. But Unicron does try to boost them, but Optimus decides to use the full power of the sword and he manages to defeat them. Well, not defeat them, like kill them or anything. He manages to push them back and just throw them away from him. And Optimus will rush straight towards Unicron and looks at him dead in his eyes and says, it's over. Let the Matrix light our darkest hour. As he used the power of the Matrix, and of course, Optimus will still come back, be reversed to Orion Pax. Megatron helps out his buddy Orion, and of course, the Autobots will come in and ask what Megatron did. Now, Megatron just looks at the Autobots, and then he turns around to Orion, and Orion obviously asks who they are, and Megatron tells him that he's multiple enemies, and we will have Double Dealer, Six Shot, Megatron, and Orion Pax quickly leave through the ground bridge that Soundwave made for them, and we will see the Autobots try to save Optimus, but Optimus leaves with them, and the other Autobots are very confused to see why Optimus did that. Even Iron is confused, but then he sees the Vortex blade on the ground and he grabs it. As he lifts it up, he realizes that something is wrong. As the other Autobots go back to base, and they would tell Ratchet and Percept and the Knights what happened. And the Knights are actually kind of shocked, but at the same time not too surprised. But they do understand, because the Matrix they assume that he lost his memories because he used the full power of the Matrix, and Ratchet does confirm this. That Optimus lost his memories because he used the full power of the Matrix. Hearing this, Ana's like, "You knew?" And Ratchet's like, "Sadly, I did." And Ana gets mad and he's like, "Ratchet, why didn't you tell us?" And hearing this, Ratchet says one word: "If I did." If Optimus even told you guys would disagree and try to make another plan. This was the survival of the planet. Earth and its people would have died if Optimus didn't do that. There was no other way, Ironhide. And Ironhide's like, there had to be another way. But then Ratchet's like, but there is a way to bring back his memories. Hearing this makes everyone kind of shocked. And the Knights are like, indeed, as Vector Sigma, we can use the key of Vector Sigma to bring back Optimus' memories. Red Guardian, the Red Knights, the leader of all the Knights, says. And Perceptor's like, yeah, but only a... the thing is, I don't know why Optimus gave it to Jack, really. But I'm going to change something in this timeline because, honestly, it makes more logical sense for me. I'm just going to add this because, to be fair, it makes sense because the Matrix and the Key Vector Sigma are kind of linked, so it makes sense that only a Prime can hold it. And Perceptor says, but only a Prime can hold the Key Vector Sigma, which can access Vector Sigma to get Optimus' memories. And hearing this, Anna's like, sadly, we don't have a Prime. And hearing this, Ratchet says, not really. We have 5 of them. And hearing this, Arnold is a bit confused as he's like, 5? What are you talking about? As we will see 5 bots come out of the shadows, and Arnold and the other Autobots turn around and are kind of surprised because they look interesting. And Ratchet's like, meet Team Prime. And that will be the end of the episode and the end of this part. And I'm sorry to everyone that I didn't edit this video. And I can't lie, I have no excuses. I don't have an excuse. I have no reason. I should have edited it, but I was doing a bunch of things, but honestly, I have no excuse. So to everyone, my apologies for not editing this video, and I'm sorry you had to just see it like this because I have no reason. I don't have a good. I don't have. I don't. You know what? I don't even have an excuse. Even if I had a good excuse, it still wouldn't be a valid reason. But sorry for that, and I hope you guys enjoyed this video. And peace.